Oh, is this where the camera is? Okay, I got it. It's on the other side this time. I'll try and look into your eyes when I speak. So, the all-seeing. Do we relate to God as someone that sees in every corner of our life? Now, I got to this topic because yesterday's a Yom Yom for Chaf Menachem Av, which is the Rebbe's father's Yortzeit. And he was a Makubal, a very incredible contributor to the conversation of Kabbalah in our times, and especially through the eyes of Chassidus. So I think that idea was portrayed in the Yom Yom of Chaf Menachem Av, and his Yortzeit is that it speaks about how mitzvahs are not relegated to the physicality of your body. Not just to your soul, rather, but also to your physical experience. And that applies even to chayvus halavaves. Let me just make sure again. That's the spot, right? Somewhere over there. Okay. The chayvus halavaves, the obligations of the heart. Good morning. The obligations of the heart is something that has to be felt in the physical organ of your heart. Da 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 da. Good morning. Are you feeling that morning exhilaration? Okay, if you're in different countries, whatever time of day, you got to keep it, right? So when you feel something in your heart physically affecting you, then what does it say? I think a chayas pnimi. It causes a chayas pnimi, going out from all your limitations into a world of optimism. So this is what affected me. I have to write this editorial, right? So I'm using you to, oh, it's live again. Did catch up. That's awesome. So yeah, welcome to me if you just like speeding up to get to the live stream or whatever you have to do to get on top of the live into my camping supplies. Okay, they're clean. So that took me to a whole exploration that's brought in a mimer that's cited there in the commentary on that Hayom Yom. And I thought it was fascinating because, if I remember correctly, it spoke about the Zivug Neshamas, Zivug Malachim. And I happened to read further on in this mimer, in the Kutei Tero, that I was saying over yesterday, because it spoke about something fascinating. And I know it's not the parsha of the Shavuot to speak about Bilam, but who cares? People are so weird. Arrival. So, because the Rebbe interprets it to mean that he could surpass it. You could be close, but even higher. That's the way the Rebbe interprets the prophecy of Mashiach. Leikam Kamesha b'nevuah. Okay, Mashiach's going to be greater than Moshe Rabbeinu in even prophecy. I think that's the way we understand it, or at least equal he could be. I'd have to look that up again. It's been a long time since I saw that in Simcha. It was you. I don't know who you're talking about too. Maybe you're having a little conversation there on the side. Do you ever have that at Farbrengen? There's little Farbrengens that stem off, they hive off to the corners. And the person that's speaking is he can't speak because you're in a room that's an environment and people are to look into your world because he's smiling at you and you know that you're proud of everything that you do. I mean, people have a massive problem about where they direct their eyes. It's a very big problem today. People don't want to talk about it because it makes them feel uncomfortable, especially in mixed company. It's and especially when it's very revealing about. I mean, I see some agencies that do this, what's it called? Mic drop. They do this thing. They try and promote the idea of people sort of exposing themselves to the entire world, all their sort of most intimate, dark secrets. I find that very odd. But if you want to ever give of yourself, you do have to be genuine, and you have to, especially as a Baal Tshuva, you were in a different world, complicate this ethical Torah issue of where do you look. I mean, God happens to be the all-seeing. So the concept exists from the different perspective. So where do we look? Because God is there too. It says in Tanya that you take the head of the king and put it in the most unpleasant place you can imagine. When a person, that's doing it any of her. Even the faintest mist, if it's repeated on enough levels, that mist becomes a thick cloud, and it could be like an overcast sky. So it could affect the internet signal, and it could affect your ability for your soul to sort of like shine through. Your soul's supposed to shine through your body. That's the same idea of all seeing. There shouldn't be this interference of this overcast between on the fly. That's kind of inappropriate, like waste your time while I'm diddling away on my iPad here. It's not a good idea. So I hope I resist that. So it says, Sha'amro. This is where our sages say, Nisava Kadosh Baruch Hu L'Sadir B'Tachtonim. God desired, he had a taiva, a desire, to have a dwelling place in the lower realm. So how low can he go? What are we talking about here? What does it mean, Adir B'Tachtonim? So this mimer addresses that, and it's fascinating. That there's going to be a process of taking a godly infinite existence and filtering that, just like we were talking about these clouds, right? So God makes his own filters that are called tzimtzum. That's what that means. But he counts. We're going to see the word counting becomes very important in the verse that Bilam utters, that we're going to learn from, what his complaint to God was. What are you looking in my business for? It's inappropriate for you. You're the God of heaven. What are you doing looking in my lowly existence, he says. He was a lowly person. He could say that with command. He meant when he said that. He was being genuine. He was a lowly person. He didn't care. Even though he talked to God and he says he can't go against God. On Rabbi Jacobson brings out those teachings of the Rogachover. Oh, I want a sefer that does that for me. I just don't. I haven't been able to find it yet. He probably has a good one. Okay, so we're talking about a dwelling place in the world. That's what God wants. So he wants to be in the lowest realm. We're going to see what Bilam thought that meant and what the truth actually is, because it's not far off. It's just he misunderstood something. Pure, yes, you are going to start experiencing that. Why? Because the Rebbe said so. And the Rebbe is a prophet, okay? How is this possible? That God's going to see eye to eye, from the infinite to the finite. There's going to be this gazing into, like doves, it says in Shir Shirim. We're going to gaze into God's eyes. Like doves. Okay, I've never seen doves gaze into each other's eyes. Maybe I think I actually found a picture of that once. I was looking for something to get that idea across. But that's what they do. They have that connection. And Shir Shirim draws on that imagery. But here we have a verse for it. So that happens through a process of, not a process rather. Well, yeah, a process of God's infinity called Sevu Kol Amim. His understanding how to do it. But in the sense, in the terms of defining what's required, or like just having a phrase that can encompass that, Taryag mitzvahs Torah mitzvahs. Do that, and you'll do this. You draw down a level where godliness is equal everywhere, the most spiritual to the most physical, the same level of access to God is there when you're mamshich it. But irrespective of whether you're mamshich, whether you draw that, whether you tap into that, whether, irrespective of that, that's where you find his humility. His humility is that he says, your lowly existence is precious to me too. And in fact, it's not lowly. You think it's lowly. Moshe Rabbeinu even thought it's lowly. In the Maras HaTzevos, I think they're called, the brass mirrors. God said, no, that's more precious to me than all the donations to the Mishkan, to the Holy Temple. Why? Because Moshe thought it was used for the Yetzer Hara, and God said, no, that is to make a productive, intimate relationship and expression in the world through having children, and that's what it's with the purity associated with that. That's Maras HaTzevos. That is an incredible Jewish Torah image. And the image is a mitzvah. It becomes part of the mitzvah of, it covered, no, it was the laver, the water funnel channel, I don't know what the word is, faucet in the Holy Temple, where you wash your hands and begin your service of God. Through the purity associated, the foundation is that even in the moment you would wonder most, even Moshe Rabbeinu would wonder, is it appropriate that God's there? Is this an appropriate place for it in your holy temple? Maybe somewhere else. No, specifically there in the Kodesh HaKodashim, what to the Kruvim, how they're embracing in all ways, in the most intimate way. So we describe that as God's humility, that God cares about the interactions and behaviors. So he is present in everything we do, in everything we see. Since the theme here that I'm trying to talk about is sight. That's a very, it says that ha'ayin rayais the halev nechmad. I can't remember exactly. It's brought in that they saw the fruit of the Eitz Hadas, and Chava, the first woman, desired it. Taiva hu le'enayim. They saw it and she recognized it was a taiva le'enayim. Nechmad, I don't know, it goes on. But the eyes are very associated with drawing out our desire. You yearn for something when you look at something. You look at your child, you'll be drawn to them emotionally. So God is there, present, and examining us. And God directs our steps. And God's there in every step that we take. It's an incredible idea. That this is a great humility, that God is sensitive and cares about the details of his very finite creation's lives in every aspect, and the most mundane, and the most physical, and the most questionable even. And that's his greatness, that he has that sensitivity. Since Hashem is completely transcendent, the supernal heaven is only just a shine from the moon, analogous, by analogy. For the fun of era, and darkness and light are one to him. So at this level of godliness, he has the ability to easily ignore the whole universe because he's completely beyond the whole universe. So does it matter what I do? There's a level of godliness that it matters because you want it to matter. Once you enter into that conversation with God, because you want it to matter, then it doesn't have that sort of indifference that seems so cruel and cold. Okay, but at the moment we're talking about a level of godliness that it doesn't matter what darkness and light's all one. God's completely says that. Beautiful. The filu er tzach ukam hu kadam ilas ha'ilas, and the very like the center of God's sorry, I had a call coming in. Okay, I know what it is. It's important, but you're more important right now. Okay. Okay, here we go into the part that I've translated. Okay. So we ended this off by saying, before we get into this part that I want to focus on, it said that the most pure light is obscuring next to God's very core. At that level, you can do nothing wrong because God's beyond anything. But we're going to see that there's a way in. I don't know if it's going to talk about it here, but I just hinted at it the way I understand it. It could be I made it up. Okay? It says in the Gemara, this refers to the seed emitted from the Jewish relations. The wicked Bilam's eye was blinded in retribution for this offensive remark, suggesting that God acts inappropriately by observing such crude worldly things. If God's there present in human intimacy, that's so inappropriate. My God is, we're going to describe his understanding of God is that that God's connection to the world never really makes it into the physicality of the world, because God, and Bilam sees it as Ila va'alu, a causal relationship, that from the infinite, he diminishes it layer by layer. So if you go from the infinite, you can get infinite layers. You'll never be able to conceal that infinite expression of godly revelation. So you cannot avoid the understanding God, no matter how many barriers you put. So he thought that the physical world, and I'm just inferring this because it doesn't speak about the physical world here, you'll see. But the physical world, and this is the way I understand it, because he led a very crude life, as I was speaking about in the beginning of this. Since he led a very crude, look it up, like every perversion, that was his thing. But in one in particular, You start with Chokhmah, you go to Bina, you go down from wisdom to understanding to knowledge, to the emotional attributes, to connection, and then to expression. That's the way God interacts within a world. That's called Seder Ishtalshlus. That's causal. But there's a way that God completely removes himself. Because you cannot go from the infinite to the finite with a complete removal. And then it's get very complicated how he comes back into the Rishima. It's a very mystical idea of how God, there's an impression left from his original infinite expression that God's everywhere. There's something that remains even after he removes himself, called the Rishima, which is very complicated and it's beyond my pay grade for this year. Creates this whole drama that God creates, and I spoke about that another time, so you just have to trust me on that one. So Gentiles err in maintaining that God's creation of the universe, and this is talking about Bilam. How could he make this mistake? Even though, because he was a prophet, how could he miss this point? But Gentiles, the fact that he was not Jewish, he wasn't able to tap into this reality, this knowledge, this truth. They err in maintaining that God's creation of the universe is by means of Ishtalshlus, a causal relationship, Ilava Alul, that's what I was saying before, between creator and creation. The result of this approach of a more that it ever hits something finite. It seems to stop short of God expressing himself even in the physical world. I think that's what he's saying. I mean, I'm reading into this because I'm having trouble with it. But that's the way I understand it. Because it doesn't speak about his view of physicality here. It just says God, since God would be affected if he invested himself within it, if there's a causal relationship, the ability or first ability ball gets affected. So God's not going to come down here. Or he says that that's the way he would have to come down. dimension. The truth is, though, I should put that in a new paragraph. Okay, I couldn't resist. Oh, it's not. Yeah, new paragraph. The truth is, though, that God is holy and transcendent of all the worlds, and his providence is not manifest through investment within causation. Since, in other words, he does it ex nihilo, as we'll see. Since God's giving life to the worlds does not cause any change in him, because he does it through ex nihilo, he has nothing to do with the world, but yet he creates an all creation emergence from him at the same time. Okay, that's a paradox. But since God's giving life to the world does not cause any change in him, so the result of ex nihilo creation is it has no change in him present in things that you might not want him to be present in. That's the whole kel nakamais. It's a merciful thing. It's kel, God's name of mercy. It's kel. It's associated with that name of God in particular because his revelation is not something sinister. It's not the retribution that you fear. The retribution is, I am there. Don't you want to bring me there in a way that will make me feel welcome, invited? That's the dir b'tachtainim. Taking those things and bringing God there too. Not abandoning or denying or repressing, rather, that those things exist, but rather he knows what is in the darkness. God knows that. If a man enters a hiding spot, you're trying to hide from God in somewhere, Bilam, do I not see him? This is the truth, says the Alter Rebbe. All these instances of providence, so God's there, watching over, being caring enough to be present there too, do not amount to any change in him, God forbid. So a person cannot sully God. It says that, there's no, Torah does not get contaminated. It has to originate from a holy source, true. But it's not going to take on, it's not going to become greatness is in lowering himself to observe the heavens and the earth, since God transcendence rather, is beyond the worlds and is beyond all the worlds, and since he is completely unfathomable and utterly incomparable, he lowers himself to observe even the lowest dimension. So in other words, he transcends everything, but he's present in everything. And it's just whether we welcome him in or not. Unlike the Gentile nations who say that he is exalted. So the Gentile nations, this is the words of this verse, that they say about God that he is completely removed. He's not going to be part of I'm going to close the door and he's not there. Okay, what business does he have to be there? They don't appreciate the fact that God's completely transcendent, meaning even the most spiritual holy world is the equal to that person's shut door experience. Good morning. God relates the two equally at that level of his essence. The biggest tzaddik, biggest Russia, it's a bit difficult to understand, I realized. You have to look to the Purim and Marim to understand this. That there is an exception, and there is this, okay, God makes it completely random. Russia, tzaddik, Russia, you gotta flip a coin. You're gonna flip a coin and see who Tefillah refers to our tefillin, and specifically the straps of the tefillin, that they go down longer. It's extending the revelation of Ad Liyad of Purim, Ad Liyad, this infinite connection with God. That God like rigs the lottery for you. You take that through the whole year of us longer Ad L'Raglayim. It says in the Mimer that the longer your straps are, the more it represents that you're taking into all, not just chronologically throughout the year, but through every aspect of your being. That you could take that rather. For in all your ways you should know God. So you could draw that into your experience throughout the whole world. In the most physical aspect, that's why the tefillin, the wrapping of the tefillin becomes the whole emblem, the whole symbol of wrapping yourself, binding yourself, recognizing that it's the tightness of the grip of the tefillin on your arm that represents God's intimacy with you, even on that physical level that He wants. The obligations of your heart is that your heart has to react. You have to daven in a way. God's greatness, in other words, is in His humility, that He's sensitive to things that are important to the other, to His creation, to you, to the Jewish soul, to the Jewish person in this physical world. God's greatness is in that those things that are relevant to you, even if they are lowly. Okay, we're not like Bilam. God does not, especially if you don't take on the mindset of those kind of non-Jewish ideas that Bilam was involved with. If you have purity, if you maintain that, then we have time just to chill out. Yeah, I can't put it sideways now because it's like I already decided up in Shemayim whether I have to go sideways or vertical. Or does it even not matter? It's always vertical, even if I make it look like